Most people would agree that Australia's housing crisis is an unholy mess right now. But what if there was a holy solution to house our most vulnerable?
For the hundreds and thousands of Aussie households stuck on the wait list for affordable and social housing, the situation is beyond dire. National estimates showing 20,000 homes will need to be built over the next 4 years to help our most vulnerable.
We've got housing challenges in this nation because we've got a housing shortage, and the only long-term answer here is that we've got to build more housing.
Now a group of faith-based organisations believe the answer could come in the form of divine intervention, allowing churches, mosques and synagogues to build new homes on land they aren't using.
For some, they might have a spare piece of land. Perhaps it's used for overflow parking once a week, or perhaps it's a site where a congregation has amalgamated with a neighbouring congregation, and then they have a spare site.
Similar movements exist in the US, known as YIGB, or Yes in God's Backyard. And there could be thousands of sites ripe for residents back home. Research from Faith Housing Australia has identified 747 suitable faith-owned sites in New South Wales alone that could be turned into 20,000 affordable homes, all of them within a 10-minute walk of a train station.
Many of these faith sites are incredibly well located. They were initially purchased in the centre of everything that's close to transport, jobs, other community services.
Currently, most of Australia's states and territories prohibit housing to be built on land designated for religious activities. Queensland only recently changing its zoning laws to unlock 10,000 community homes in the state.
Helping people is in the DNA of these organisations, so why not give them the ability to do it?
We're in the process of expanding to take a look at what are the opportunities and also the barriers in different states and territories across Australia.
So could this be the answer to Australia's housing prayers?
Greg Jericho is the Chief Economist at the Australia Institute. He joins us now. Greg, these religious groups are leading this charge. What do you think about this idea? Do you think it could be a great solution?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent solution, especially because it's really targeted at affordable social housing rather than it being a case of, they're selling off these prime locations and to the highest bidder in a sense. It's actually more about trying to convert places where there was a lot of praising and praying going on, but now it's pretty silent because there's not a lot of voices there being attending the churches or the mosques anymore. So I think it's a very good idea.
My question is why this has taken so long. If they're sitting there and they're such, prime real estate, then why are we only talking about it now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, part of it is I think there's always a bit of an emotional attachment to churches from the religious organisations, but, the decline in church attendance has got to a point now where it's kind of hard to ignore for a lot of these organisations that they do have these spaces that aren't being used. They're not being providing any real support for the community, and these organisations clearly, most religious organisations, their key thing is actually providing support for the community. So it's sort of got to that point, and also because, as your story noted, there's a number of regulations, especially in New South Wales, where the option's not even there to turn these into affordable social housing or service departments or anything like that. And so I guess because the option wasn't there, it took someone to actually kind of think outside the box and think, well, why don't we change the regulations?
The proposal only looks at church land, but is there an opportunity here to expand this out to other types of unused land?
Well, I mean, even sort of used land. I mean, we saw in New South Wales and Sydney recently the attempt to try and buy the Rosehill Guns racetrack, which would have been able to provide many thousands of homes, but that was knocked down. And it's kind of a sense of there are lots of areas of especially you look in Sydney, you only have to sort of have a squiz at Google Earth and see there's lots of areas. Golf courses is always the main one, which I have some sympathy for, but one of the things that always annoys me whenever people talk about golf courses, it's always the public golf courses, and I was looking, no one ever says, oh, Royal Sydney or the National Golf Course or East Lakes, which are on really good locations that are quite huge areas. They're always kept sort of separate and sacred, if we want to use that term. So there are sort of other areas. I think racecourses is a good one because they are such huge lands and attendances there, just as with churches, are declining. And I think it's sort of a case of hopefully it's not dead with Rose Hill. They do get another go one time, but really you've got to start looking outside the box. And I think the churches one is a really good one to start with.
Greg, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Great to chat.